The Texas Department of Transportation welcomes you to the virtual public hearing for the FM 1560 expansion project from FM 471 to SH 16 in Bexar County, Texas. TxDOT changed the traditional in-person public hearing to an online format in response to the COVID-19 outbreak. This is to limit in-person contact and large gatherings. This virtual public hearing and the information on TxDOT's website provides the same content as an in-person meeting. The materials used for this presentation are available for viewing and downloading on TxDOT's website at www.txdot.gov by searching FM 1560 from FM 471. The purpose of this virtual public hearing is twofold: to inform the public about the proposed project and to request public comment. This presentation includes information on the project's need and purpose, a description of the project, including the design, right-of-way requirements, and schedule, and finally, the environmental impacts that would result from the project. We are requesting the public to provide their comments on the project. Substantial changes are made to this project since the open house in January of 2019, and it is important to us to get your feedback. At the end of this presentation, we will explain how you can submit your comments to us. The deadline for comments is May 1st, 2021. This section of the presentation explains why the project is needed and its purpose. FM 1560 is a two-lane state highway located in northwestern Bexar County. This map shows the project is located within the jurisdictions of Bexar County, the City of Helotes, and the City of San Antonio. The project involves the section of FM 1560 from FM 471, also known as Culebra Road, to SH 16, also known as Bandera Road, a distance of 5.2 miles. This project was selected for improvements by the Alamo Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, or the MPO, which is the agency that is responsible for the region's transportation plan. The MPO identified this section of FM 1560 as a future congested corridor and selected it for improvement. Since FM 1560 is a state highway, which is operated by the Texas Department of Transportation, TxDOT developed a project to address transportation needs. TxDOT is the state agency responsible for the operation of the state highway system and for coordinating with the Federal Highway Administration, or the FHWA, over the use of their agency's federal transportation funds in Texas. This typical section illustrates FM 1560 as it exists today. FM 1560 is typically a two-lane roadway with shoulders. In some areas, the shoulders have been reduced to accommodate turn lanes as traffic demands on the corridor have grown over time. There are no bike lanes, curbs, or sidewalks along FM 1560. There are ditches on the side of the road that carry runoff from the roadway and adjacent properties. These roadway features are located in a state-owned right-of-way that is typically 80 feet wide. This chart shows how traffic has increased on FM 1560 over time based on actual traffic counts and future projected traffic volumes made by TxDOT's Transportation Planning and Programming Division. In 1990, approximately 2,250 vehicles per day traveled on FM 1560. By 2017, the traffic volume had grown to 13,966 vehicles per day. As shown, traffic is projected to increase to almost 34,000 vehicles per day by 2043. The next slide will explain what these traffic volumes mean for a two-lane roadway. TxDOT calculated the ability of FM 1560 in its current two-lane layout to handle traffic flow based on the traffic volume measured in 2017 and the projected future 2043 traffic volume. The results are presented in terms of level of service and average travel time. Based on 2017 traffic volume of 13,966 vehicles per day, FM 1560 operates at a level of service C, and the time to travel from one end of the corridor to the other averages 9 minutes. Level of service C is an acceptable level of performance. Overall, the roadway performs well at the 2017 traffic volume. However, by 2043, the traffic volume is projected to be 33,803 vehicles per day. At this traffic volume, the roadway would perform at a level of service F, and the average travel time would increase to 21 minutes. The level of service F is a breakdown in flow where each vehicle moves lockstep with the vehicle in front of it. Overall, TxDOT's analysis shows that traffic flow will degrade to undesirable levels by 2043, and it corroborates the findings of the Alamo Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, which identified FM 1560 as a future congested corridor. FM 1560 was constructed in the 1960s as a farm-to-market road when there was very little development in the watersheds. It crosses the 100-year floodplain in several areas as shown on this map. There are even more locations where the roadway is overtopped, or in other words, flooded, during smaller, more frequent storm events. Where this occurs, the roadway is impassable and a concern for safety. Several warning signs and flood gauges are located on FM 1560. The purpose of the project is to accommodate projected traffic volumes on FM 1560 from FM 471 to SH 16 at acceptable levels of service and to improve drainage to current design standards to reduce the frequency and magnitude of floodwater overtopping the roadway. In the course of addressing these needs, the project would be designed to accommodate bicyclists and pedestrians and include appropriate mitigation for environmental impacts. TxDOT hired the engineering firm Jones & Carter to develop a project to address traffic and drainage needs, including appropriate public involvement and related environmental compliance studies. Together, we developed a preliminary schematic to address the need and purpose of the project. TxDOT met with affected property owners, local government officials, and hosted an open house for the general public in January 2019. Based on feedback from these meetings, we revised the schematic and right-of-way needs and coordinated with affected property owners and stakeholders regarding the new design. The resulting schematic is presented in this public hearing for public review and comment. This section of the presentation describes the project with information such as roadway modifications, right-of-way requirements, schedule, and cost. This typical section illustrates the proposed project, which would expand FM 1560 to 4 lanes, bike lanes, curbs, and sidewalks. The lanes would be typically 12 feet wide. The bike lanes and sidewalks would be typically 5 feet wide and 6 feet wide, respectively. The opposing lanes would be separated by a center two-way left turn lane as shown here, except in proximity to some intersections where a raised median would be used to divide the traffic. Traffic signals would be maintained at the intersections of FM 471, Galm Shanefield, and Braun Road. New signals would be added at Sawyer Valley Drive, and the signals located at Iron Horse Way would be moved to Antonio Drive. The typical proposed right-of-way width is typically 120 feet. Approximately 36 acres of right-of-way would be acquired to accommodate the proposed improvements. This would expand the state right-of-way from its usual width of 80 feet to 120 feet. The existing and proposed right-of-way lines are shown on the schematic, along with the proposed roadway improvements. We have made efforts to reach out and meet with every property owner that we would have to acquire right-of-way from, and this presentation includes links to additional information that is of interest to affected landowners. We encourage everyone to review the schematic and provide comments and to contact us if you have questions about the project. The schematic is a detailed representation of the proposed roadway improvements and right-of-way requirements. This image shows the schematic. Since the project is over 5 miles long, it is not practical to show the entire schematic at a reasonable scale in the presentation. We encourage you to view and download the schematic from TxDOT's website at www.txdot.gov. Keyword search FM 1560 from FM 471. The next 2 slides are going to focus on the 2 areas shown in red. This image shows the intersection of FM 1560 with FM 471, which is on the far left. The black dashed lines are existing right-of-way lines, and the red dashed lines are proposed new right-of-way lines. The red lines therefore represent the areas of proposed right-of-way acquisition. The widened roadway is shown in blue and the sidewalks are shown in green. A raised concrete median, shown in purple, divides the opposing lanes on FM 1560 on its approach to FM 471. Raised medians safely separate the traffic traveling in opposite directions. This reduces the number and severity of crashes. They reduce traffic conflict points by eliminating opposing left turns into and out of closely spaced driveways and at busy signalized intersections. A turnaround is proposed at the end of the raised median on the far right of this image. It includes a roadway feature known as a loon to accommodate turnarounds by large vehicles. Raised medians are also proposed at the approaches to Gallum-Shanefield Road and between Antonio Drive and Riggs Road. Throughout the majority of the project, a two-way left turn lane divides the opposing lanes. The culvert over a tributary to Culebra Creek would be removed and replaced with a longer and taller bridge shown in orange. This image shows the intersection of FM 1560 with Antonio Drive in the top left, Iron Horse Way in the middle, and Riggs Road in the bottom right. There are numerous changes in this area to address safety concerns that result from the vertical and horizontal curves in the intersecting roadways in this area. The need to replace the bridge over Helotes Creek with a longer, taller, and wider structure also influences the proposed layout. Raised medians proposed in this area would prevent left turns from Riggs Road and Iron Horse Way onto FM 1560 and preclude traffic from making U-turns in the curve of FM 1560. The traffic signal at Iron Horse Way would be removed and replaced with a new signal at Antonio Drive, where the traffic signal and loon can accommodate turnaround traffic. The intersections with Antonio Drive and Iron Horse Way would be realigned. Although the schematic shows more detail, we have also prepared a flyover simulation of FM 1560 showing the proposed expansion in video format. This video is posted on TxDOT's webpage for the project and can be accessed using these directions. TxDOT calculated the ability of the proposed expansion of FM 1560 to handle traffic flow under 2,043 traffic volumes. If the roadway is expanded as proposed, the level of service is expected to operate at level of service C in 2043, and the travel time from one end of the corridor to the other averages 12 minutes. These results indicate that the proposed improvements would satisfy the need and purpose of the project. This project was designed so that the roadway would remain open at a minimum during a 10-year storm event. This would substantially reduce the frequency or magnitude of overtopping along the corridor, which satisfies the need and purpose of the project. The project would include numerous design elements to improve drainage. The majority of culverts and bridges on FM 1560 would be replaced typically with larger structures. This includes new bridges at Culebra Creek and Helotes Creek, and culverts in overflow sections where there are currently no structures at all. The project would also include underground storm sewer and underground water treatment controls to remove pollutants from runoff to protect the Edwards Aquifer. The project would be constructed in phases in accordance with the Metropolitan Transportation Plan and the Transportation Improvement Plan. Phase 1, which includes FM 1560 from FM 471 to Gallum-Shanefield, is currently planned for construction in 2022. Phase 2 from Gallum-Shanefield to SH16 is planned for construction in 2023. The total project cost is estimated at $62,600,000, which would include federal and state transportation funds. The project would require the acquisition of approximately 36 acres of land from 89 parcels as shown on the schematic. We do not anticipate that any homes or businesses would be displaced by the project. On the schematic, existing right-of-way lines are shown by black dashed lines, and proposed right-of-way lines are shown by red dashed lines. If you review the schematic and see red dashed lines on your property like those shown on this image, then we are proposing to acquire right-of-way from you. The right-of-way would be acquired in accordance with the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Properties Acquisition Policies Act of 1970 as amended. TxDOT has 3 documents which provide additional general information on the right-of-way purchasing process, including topics such as appraisal, compensation, and relocation assistance. These documents may be found at the website address and link shown here, or by going to TxDOT's website and searching landowner rights. We have also posted these documents on TxDOT's project webpage, which can be accessed following the directions shown here. If the schematic indicates we are proposing to acquire right-of-way from you, we recommend that you do not move any personal property, such as fences, until our TxDOT right-of-way agents contact you to formally begin the right-of-way acquisition process. We have made efforts to contact all the affected property owners, and we have met with many of them. If anyone has questions about the proposed right-of-way, please contact us. Our contact information is shown at the end of this presentation. This exhibit summarizes the overall project timeline. We are currently at the public hearing stage. If no major revisions are warranted and no significant environmental impacts are identified, we would make a decision in favor of the project in early 2021 and proceed with the acquisition of right-of-way and detailed design of the proposed project. The Alamo Area Metropolitan Transportation Plan currently plans for construction of Phase 1 to begin in 2022, and those lanes would open in 2024. The Transportation Plan shows construction of Phase 2 to begin in 2023, with completion of the project in 2026. This portion of the presentation describes the environmental impacts associated with this project. The proposed project would be funded by the Federal Highway Administration and is a major federal action subject to the National Environmental Policy Act. TxDOT conducted studies to evaluate the environmental impacts of the proposed project. The project was classified as a categorical exclusion for purposes of proceeding with the environmental review. The environmental review, consultation, and other actions required by applicable federal environmental laws for this project are being or have been carried out by TxDOT pursuant to 23 U.S.C. 327 and a Memorandum of Understanding dated December 9, 2019 and executed by FHWA and TxDOT. Upon completion of public involvement, TxDOT will make a final categorical exclusion determination if warranted. Numerous environmental studies were performed for the project to comply with environmental regulations and policies. They cover a wide range of topics including traffic noise, water resources, cultural resources, community impacts, and hazardous materials. These studies were documented in over a dozen technical reports. These reports are available for public review on the project meeting notice webpage. TxDOT coordinated with various agencies regarding the project, including the Alamo Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, Texas Historical Commission, Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, Federal Highway Administration, FHWA, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. A wide variety of natural resource, cultural, and human environment topics are addressed. It would take a considerable time to review each one of these in this presentation. We encourage you to review the technical reports and provide comments on any topic. We will review a few of the key topics. The issues are traffic noise, the Edwards Aquifer, endangered species, air quality, and historic structures. TxDOT has conducted a noise analysis of the proposed project layout using computer modeling software that was created by the FHWA. Based on FHWA criteria, a noise level of 66 decibels would constitute a noise impact at a residential receiver such as a backyard. The computer model was used to predict noise levels at 71 different locations or receivers along the corridor. The proposed project would cause noise impacts at 11 of the 71 receivers. Most of the impacts would occur at single-family residences. With respect to mitigation, the computer model was used to evaluate if noise barriers would provide feasible and reasonable abatement. Based on computer modeling, barriers appear to be feasible and reasonable for 8 of the 11 impacted receiver locations. At the other 3 locations, the cost to construct the barrier would exceed the reasonable cost criteria of $25,000 per benefited receiver. As mentioned, the computer modeling is based on the schematic level data and engineering. Noise barriers will be further evaluated to determine if there are any conflicts that were not evident during the schematic level study. Once the detailed designs are complete, TxDOT would coordinate with the property owners during construction if it is possible to construct feasible and reasonable abatement at these locations. The project overlies the Edwards Aquifer Recharge Zone near Helotes Creek. The recharge zone is where Edwards limestone is exposed at the surface and stream flow may infiltrate and recharge the aquifer. Several nearby wells were affected by efforts to extinguish a mulch fire in 2007, and this shows the vulnerability of the groundwater to land use activities. The project would disturb 4 acres of soil on the recharge zone and replace the bridge over Helotes Creek. It would add 8 acres of impervious cover to areas on or upstream of the recharge zone. These activities may indirectly affect underlying groundwater quality during construction through the erosion of disturbed soils and spills of construction-related materials. After construction, the additional impervious cover would accumulate pollutants which may infiltrate to the underlying groundwater if the runoff is not treated. The project would include mitigation for impacts to the Edwards Aquifer during and after construction. The project would be constructed in compliance with the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality's Edwards Aquifer rules and would require a water pollution abatement plan. The project would include the installation of 7 underground stormwater treatment structures to filter the roadway runoff before it is released from the site. These controls would voluntarily be outfitted with valves that would create post-construction spill control capacity on the facility. Based on the proposed mitigation, the project is not expected to adversely impact groundwater quality. 8 endangered cave-dwelling species, including small blind spiders and beetles, live in northern Bexar County. The project is located in an area that probably does not contain listed species, but the possibility of encountering them during construction cannot be excluded. TxDOT determined this project is not likely to adversely affect listed species. With respect to mitigation, TxDOT will complete informal consultation with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and the project would include voluntary conservation measures for these species. The proposed project is located in Bexar County, which is in an area that has been designated by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, as a marginal non-attainment area for the 2015 ozone National Ambient Air Quality Standards. Ozone is not directly emitted from vehicles, but vehicle emissions contribute to the formation of ozone. With respect to mitigation, it is necessary to demonstrate that the project conforms with local and state plans to return Bexar County to attainment status. The project level conformity determination was completed and approved by the Federal Highway Administration. TxDOT surveyed the project area for historic properties and documented 58 historic age resources. One of the properties, the Karl Rumpel Complex, a circa 1905 stone masonry building constructed in the Texas-German vernacular style, is recommended eligible for the National Register of Historic Places. This proposed project would require 2.5 acres of right-of-way from the 142-acre historic site. The proposed project poses no direct effect to the buildings. The proposed project would have no adverse effect on the property. TxDOT is currently in consultation with the Texas Historical Commission to satisfy its obligations under Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act. Although the proposed project would have no adverse effect on the characteristics for which these resources are significant, the acquisition of new right-of-way at these NRHP eligible properties constitutes a de minimis use of historic sites under the U.S. Department of Transportation Act, Section 4F regulations. The project would require the following permits for construction. Construction general permits from the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality would be required for each phase, since each would disturb more than 5 acres of soil. A water pollution abatement plan would be required from the TCEQ for Phase 2, since that portion of FM 1560 is located on the Edwards Aquifer recharge zone near Helotes Creek. This permit requires runoff to the recharge zone to be treated. Section 404 permits would be required from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers at potentially jurisdictional creek crossings in both phases of construction. This portion of the presentation describes how to provide your comments for this project. TxDOT is asking the public to provide comments on the project in the following ways. To make a verbal comment, call the number shown and leave a voice message. Your verbal comments will be converted into a transcript and addressed in the public hearing report. Please limit your message to 3 minutes. However, you may call as many times as you like during the comment period. Email your comments to fm1560@jonescarter.com. Mail your comments to the address shown here. Use the online comment form at the address shown here. All comments must be received or postmarked by May 1st, 2021. You may also submit a combination of both verbal and written documents. Although the deadline to submit comments for this public hearing event is May 1st, 2021, the public is welcome to ask questions anytime during the project development process. We are always available to the public to answer questions from the public during normal business hours. For questions about this project, please contact Mr. Richard De La Cruz, TxDOT's Advanced Project Development Director. His email is richard.delacruz@txdot.gov, as shown on this slide. All the public hearing materials can be found on TxDOT's website at www.txdot.gov by searching FM 1560 from FM 471. Thank you for participating in this virtual public hearing, and please remember to submit your comments by the deadline shown here.